everybody, and welcome back to the Northern Celtic podcast for another week of Celtic Goodness. I'm Cameron, and I'm joined by your regular hosts, Stan.
Hello.
And Isaac.
Hello, everyone.
And I will hand you over to Isaac.
Right, hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for week number 11 today. You'll probably be able to hear me the clearest this week as I'm doing the recording this end. So to mix it up a little bit. So Cameron is going to sound more like a robot this week than the rest due to the questionable internet connections.
I'm not the only one.
No, it's not just you this time. But yes, we're all back in our own homes this week. I'm no longer with Dan. So we're back in good old Horham. So this week, what we're going to talk about is we've got the subject. I was thinking about this with Dan. I was talking to you about this the other day, wasn't I, Dan? I was trying to think of some ideas of what we could come up and talk about, and we thought we'd have.
You can't take this idea away from me.
I'm not taking it away from you. I'm giving you the full credit.
Trademark.
Trademark, a DT trademark. But we were going to think about some things that we could do, and hopefully in the coming weeks we're going to get Mick on and get him to talk about his story. But today we thought we'd take a bit of a comedic edge, and we're going to look at some of the typical Sunday League stereotypes of players. So we'll be looking at what you would expect to see on a bog standard Sunday game that you could go and watch, and most likely you would see at least one or two of these players on most of the pitches. So but before we do that, what I want to do is I want to get into our regular segment of our flashback result. And I brought this one up particular because, so Dan, this was just before you signed, so this was the previous season.
I can tell by not seeing my name on
the and it was the 3-0 loss, Cam, in the semi-final of the Cup against Real Orford.
Oh God! I've just brought it up.
So
on the script.
So Cam, can you give us a little bit of a recap of what took place that morning?
Well, if I remember, the conditions were not ideal. We had a full team. The pitch looked like it was on a 90-degree angle.
It was like played up a wall.
I visited the Somme in real life, and really, it's not far wrong. Even down to the dead tree in the background. But I remember it was a really tough game because they were divisions above us, weren't they?
They were in a completely different league as well. I think they were in the Berry League.
Yeah, I remember they were definitely a different class of team, and they definitely played to the advantages of their home ground. So, first half, when they were going downhill, it was ball over the top or whatever. And then, let's put it like this: they definitely did not play the ball across the floor, and we've had to find out the hard way.
Yeah.
But I remember some things didn't go right during that game for us. I remember one moment where I attempted to clear it across our own box. Not the finest moment, but
yeah, we've all done that.
Have you ever heard the saying, don't ever play the ball across your own box?
Yeah, I think they had just like a massive centre forward coming towards me, and I just panicked and absolutely stuck my foot through it, and before I knew it was bending back towards our keeper rather than heading towards the halfway line. So
But what was also interesting about that game was I remember you and me were doing drilled passes in our warm up together, and it was a slot machine of where the ball was going to go. We pass it straight to each other, and that would get towards your foot, and then it would just ping up in the air and go somewhere completely different. And I definitely remember this one because of the ref at half time, Cam.
We were all set up on the pitch ready to go, and I remember looking over wondering where the ref was, and I remember he sat with his socks and shoes off eating a sandwich in the car or something.
Oh, typical referees. But yeah, that was that. Yeah, you missed out on that, Dan. That was it was in the middle of nowhere, wasn't it? Because obviously it was Orford. It was literally in a forest where we were playing.
Yeah, it was funny old
a bit dodgy if you were there at night time.
Yeah, it definitely would be. But yeah, moving on from that, let's move into our first stereotype. So our first attributed player that I'm going to cover is the Sunday League unit centre-back. A lot of teams have one of these. We've played on many of these over the years. Generally,
talking about himself.
Yes, thank you. Bit rude. 18 stone's a bit of a push. I'm not even that big.
Only joking.
I'm going to go home and cry now. Well, I'm already home, so I'm just going to cry in general. But They generally range from about 18 to 20 stone. Very big boys. You will not miss them on the pitch. Most likely, the shirts are not big enough. Even a 2XL, too small, isn't happening. There is going to be a little bit of hanging flab. You should see when they take a throw in. It is releasing a little bit too much more than what you'd want to see. If we had to record a game with one of them in, it would definitely be rated a 12 because there'd be too much skin on show. But yeah, but normally it is the overhanging flab. To be fair, they will not be able to run. They are the most, stagnant player on the pitch. They will stand their ground. But to make up for that, they will win absolutely everything in the air. And because of their stature and sphericalness isn't a word, so their sphericality. I might have created that as a word, but they definitely possibly could have their own orbit, is what I'm trying to say. So and they make that up by having the loudest mouth on the pitch, and they will stand there and scream at you from 40 yards out. When, to be fair, they probably had a very large McDonald's breakfast before the game. So indigestion was the menu of the day for those kind of players. So, but you'll definitely see a unit centre-back within the time of Sunday League. Cam, I'll hand over to you for the second gifted player.
Right, so the next is technically it's the technically gifted overweight midfielders. Now, these ones are, I tell you what, I give them their credit. They are normally very, they're very talented on the ball since they've had a lot of time to sit there and watch players on the ball. And, they definitely love their Mackies. We've definitely You sort of go there after one game to treat yourself, and
that's every game's a treat yourself.
You see them walk past you, and they've even got a seat with their name on near the window.
Yeah, regulars.
But definitely, most of these players have great potential to have gone pro if it wasn't for so many nights out. Unless normally, yeah. Unless you're Charlie, and I'm not saying you're overweight, Charlie. I'm just saying you've proved some absolute spectacular goals. I've never seen a man turn up to a game with a hangover, vomit, and then go and score from about 30 yards.
He plays better when he's drunk, so...
He is incredible. I've seen he is the eighth wonder of the world when he enters that pitch. You never know what you're going to get. I'll hand you over to Dan next.
The next one is the rapid winger.
Oh, yeah.
I disagree with the first one because too skinny. I wouldn't class myself as too skinny. I would go with the too skinny / a bit overweight category.
Well, I don't think you categorise as a rapid winger. I wouldn't say you categorise as the next one.
I can categorise myself as both of them.
You probably are a mixture, but yes, the too skinny definitely.
I am electric. No, I'm not. I just run like a drain. They were electric, apparently. I don't really recall playing against many rapid wingers, apart from maybe the game that you nearly crushed someone, Isaac.
Oh, what poor oh yeah, I remember him. What were they? Where he ran into my side and they screamed that you've killed him.
Yes. Use 300 step overs or just like too many skill moves. That sounds like your typical Sunday League winner who's
he might be me.
Yeah, but it sounds like the person who would get absolutely wiped out by the overweight midfielder.
Oh yes, they all intertwine together. This would be Cameron. You'd have a field day with making these kind of attribute cards, where who would beat who in a tabletop game.
That is true. What else is there? They fall over their own feet.
Oh, that's a typical one. That is always tripping out if they're doing too many skills.
Most of us do that generally.
I was going to say most Sunday League players.
Yes. And also, they're more injury prone. So, Cameron, you should become a winger.
Yeah, there we go. That's it.
That was that one game where I replaced you at winger and nearly scored after coming on.
What a man!
He didn't get injured there, isn't it?
That was mesmerising. That was. I think the problem was we just didn't help you because you just started taking on about half the team, and we all stood there in awe because we weren't sure what to do.
Yeah, no one was expecting you to get the ball and just run.
I'm pretty sure that was the only time that season I actually advanced into the opponent's box.
Yeah, sounds about right.
What a machine! Well, Dan, you can do the next one too.
Yes, the lazy striker, or in my case, the lazy winger. A good finisher. We won't comment too much on that one. That's
Scoring goals is what they do.
bog standard for a striker. Lazy or not lazy. Never tracks back.
I can vouch for that one.
Yeah.
Oh, he might be Dan.
I've improved recently.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll give you your fair dues. You have got better towards the end of the season.
The last one doesn't really apply to me as much. Moans about never getting the right pass.
Oh,
I normally get moaned at.
I've seen that happen so many times though, where a midfielder gets the ball and they ping it through, and the striker's just not fit enough to get onto it, so automatically it's not their fault.
Yeah. Well, half the time they ping the ball, and my first touch is like a fish jumping out of the river, then getting caught by a bear's mouth.
Well, beautiful. The salmon. We've had a few salmon jumpers in our team over the years.
Yeah.
That is some analogy.
I have got the salmon type header, but not very often you'd see me jump
That
out
is
of the
just
river.
pure magic. Well, we've definitely seen the lazy striker, and that can
I
definitely
believe the next one we're handing over to Cam.
the Abonator.
Are we? Oh.
We are.
Yes, the basic fullback. I guess I qualify for this.
Nah, don't be harsh on yourself. That's not true.
Lowest footballing ability.
At a point, you probably were there.
Yeah,
That's
at a
not me
point,
trying
definitely.
to be offensive.
Definitely not now.
I tell you what, I 100% agree with the second bullet point. Space filler on low numbers. There has been scenarios when I've seen strikers play fullbacks.
Oh, they end up yeah.
You rarely get, like, if a fullback has a week off, it's always who draws the short straw. It's either some centre back attempting to go out wide, but as we say, sometimes they don't have the fitness,
especially if it's a unit
all the time. But just like myself, for bottom one, I always love a run out, and I try and give 100%.
That is
when they might have to draw the short straw and get put in the position that they don't want to play, but it's a position at which they just try. Everybody just tries their best in to fill in for the team.
It takes all cogs to make the clock work.
Yeah.
That's true.
But no, I don't think you'd qualify as that anymore, Cam. I think that's you're above that. But I think I've definitely played with players over the years that have kind of played there, and you're like, have you ever touched a football in your life?
That's the one that's nervous in the back
few people who can't do that.
Right. I'll do the last couple then, gents. I'll fill in the last two.
Because I believe the next one sums you up. So in some points.
You reckon the player manager? We've all seen a few of these over the years. My favourite is Edgar Davids from Barnet when he managed Barnet and was a player manager there. But they generally like to talk the talk. They try and say the right things. They try and walk the walk. But when it comes onto the pitch, it doesn't really turn out the right way. I've seen many times where managers give it the big one, and then something goes wrong on the pitch, and they go, "Oh, I can do better than that." But then they need to remember that it isn't 30 years ago, and then they're not quite in the same physical condition as they was. and generally have all the gear and no idea. That's a great one. I've seen a
Just
few
remember,
people.
not that type of gear.
Not that type of gear, as Dan's motto as he goes. He turned into an anti-drug rally.
We know what Cameron's like on a heavy Saturday night.
Oh, we do. All them J2Os.
I was going to say, yeah, that's
Or the package of yeast.
The Guinness. Oh, no.
I would advise not ending a night out on Guinness. Does not.
I believe this next one has some of you. Sometimes you think you're probably Pep Guardiola.
Oh, definitely. You always see this a lot of the time. You have the manager players, and they have the level 2 coaching. They've just passed all their qualifications, and they suddenly think they're Pep Guardiola. Start getting the board out and go, right, we're going to play tiki taka. When you're playing
I'm
on
Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah,
Fergie
you start trying to play tiki-taka football on a Sunday league pitch, and if you're playing like at Orford, it's like a minefield. You pass that ball, it's quite likely going to boomerang around halfway around the pitch. So,
I think, just touching on that last statement, that's like sending your goalkeeper on at striker, David James.
I think that was Sven-Goran Eriksson that did that.
What a player.
What a player. But this last one that I thought we'd touch on is definitely the type of player that I've seen a lot of the time at Northam over the few years, and I've called him Mr. Mystery. So Mr. Mystery's general attribute is he says he's going to turn up, says they're fully committed, but actually hasn't been seen since the Cold War. So it is a long time since that they have been seen on the pitch or off the pitch. They message him during the week, give it big in the chat, say to the manager, I'm 100% going to be there, and then they're nowhere to be seen on the day. It's almost as if they're under the house arrest and they just physically can't go out. They got the curfew on the tag on their ankle, and that's it. They ain't coming out in the morning. But we know that, Cam, haven't we? And Dan, you've seen it as well. Players that say they're going to turn up and they never do.
The classic Sunday league.
Like I say, last time they'd been seen flying a blackbird during the Cold War. That was the last time that they would turn up. And I would say that they'd play. But like I say, over the years, I've been playing Sunday football for about, maybe 4 or 5 years now. And I've at least seen every single one of these, whether I've played with them over the years or whether we've played against them. And you definitely see a real mix of everyone, don't you guys?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. You never know. There's 100 factors which go into a starting 11.
Oh, definitely.
Also, with all of the different attributes, they literally can be in any player. Half of them are probably in most of the players.
And I think the thing is as well is all of them. There's a little bit of all of that in most Sunday League players. If you could pick out attributes from all of them to add to yourself, to take all of the way, and you could make your own attributed player. But if you think of any typical Sunday League players that we've missed, or some other players that you think should be added to our
I do have one.
Our list. Oh, have you got one, Dan? Fire away.
I do. I'm surprised you actually didn't think of this one. The team smoker. You always get someone who has to have the half-time fag.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. Yeah,
I love the days when you walk into the blooming dugouts and it's actually a smoking shelter instead of the actual place where you go and get your water bottles.
It looks like a hot box.
I'm a bit concerned about what dugout you've been sitting in.
It is Ipswich.
Sunday League.
But yeah, no, I totally agree, Dan. They're on the side, rather than getting water in their system and trying to rehydrate themselves, it's slowly killing himself with a cigarette.
Having a puff or two.
Yeah, get yourself through to the next half. That's the only way it can be done. But yeah, if you've got any other types of players that you think should be on the list, then comment them in the section below. I'd be really interested to see what other types of stereotypes people have seen over the years. But yeah, there's definitely been a nice attribute list. I think it would make a very great top trumps game, don't you think? You have a Sunday League top trumps.
I'd hope to get Cameron's every time. Most injuries would be his best stat.
Well, be like the Genghis Khan of the Dictator top trumps that we played at New Year's.
Oh dear,
that is a great game.
I wouldn't compare Cameron to.
No, I wouldn't compare Genghis Khan to Cameron. It's not really. Give him 5,000 children.
Cameron could be one of them 5,000 children.
Cameron is the direct descendant of Genghis Khan. What a man.
Dear.
But yes, coming away from our dictators throughout history, again, this is episode 11. We're slowly getting towards football happening regarding everything gets the go-ahead, 2nd of August is our first pre-season against Stone Market. So that is hoping where we can get some more content for you guys, hoping to get some highlights that we can put together to comment in over the podcast. Depending on the government and how things go, we'll keep producing content. If you guys have got anything that you'd like to hear from our opinions about things, please put them in the comments. We'll be happy to talk about them, and we'll see how it goes. But up until then, we'll keep producing content. So again, thank you guys for coming on again. It's been another week, and week 11. Can you believe it's 11 weeks we've been doing this?
It's mad.
No, I cannot.
It's crazy. But on that note, I shall hand over to our Lord and Saviour, Cameron Abbott.
Jesus Christ.
He is.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for tuning in and your continuous support over the recent weeks. We'll be back next week, but until then, it's goodbye from me. Goodbye from Dan.
Goodbye. Any questions you want to ask, leave them in the comments down below or contact us on our socials. Thank you for watching.
And it's goodbye from Isaac.
Peace and love, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
And we'll be seeing you next week.